What is up, Quranics? Welcome back to my top 10 series. So this one's been a highly requested video, and that's my personal top 10 favorite sounding cars in GTA Online based on their exhaust notes. So that includes their startup sound, the way they sound idling, on throttle, and decelerating as well. And to mention, some of these exhaust notes are reused in other cars. I just want to clarify that. However, some of them are not identical as they have a slightly different idle sound, deceleration sound, or even just a louder exhaust note in general. So that's why I picked certain cars over others with similar exhaust notes. But anyways, let's get right into it. Starting off with number 10, we have the Sultan RS. This car was added with the Drop Zone Adversary Mode update in 2016 for a price of about $800,000 when factoring in the Benny's conversion upgrade cost. This car has a great startup sound and that fantastic Subaru Boxer engine idle, which just sounds super similar to the real car. And then the exhaust note itself just sounds great. It basically sounds like a souped up WRX engine, and I think Rockstar did a fantastic job with this one. Next up, on to number 9, we have the Bravado Buffalo STX. So this car was added with the contract update in 2021 and has a normal price of about $2.1 million and a trade price of about $1.6 million. Its exhaust note is basically a cross between the original Gauntlet and the Gauntlet Hellfire, and also the Buffalo S mixed in there. Now, the original Gauntlet had a nice deep exhaust note similar to a real modern Hemi, same thing with the Buffalo S. But then with the Gauntlet Hellfire, for example, they made the sound more tame and added the supercharger whine in there, which was great. But I always felt that the Hellfire just sounded weird having a more tame bass exhaust note compared to the standard Gauntlet. But when Rockstar released the Buffalo STX, they actually made the exhaust note more like the original Gauntlet / Buffalo S, and then they added in that supercharger whine from the Hellfire, which was just a perfect match. Honestly, absolutely love the exhaust note of this thing. Moving on to number 8, we have the Declasse Mamba. So this car was added with the Executives and Other Criminals update in 2015, has a price of just under $1 million. This thing has a fantastic startup sound, just amazing, and then the idle sound as well. It has that big cam sort of muscle car, classic car sound, and of course the exhaust note is just fantastic as well, nice and loud. Now, the Mamba itself is just a ton of fun to drive to. The loose back end, the awesome mid-drive speed boost. Absolutely love driving this thing around. Continuing to number 7, we have the Annis Elegy Retro Custom. This car was added with the Import-Export update in 2016, has a base price of about $900,000 when factoring in the Benny's conversion upgrade cost. The startup sound is fantastic, as well as the idle sound, which sounds almost identical to the famous RB26 from the Skyline. And then the exhaust note when driving around is just amazing as well. You get the turbo spooling noise under throttle, and of course the blow-off valve sound when decelerating, which is a lot more pronounced compared to other cars in the game. I'm pretty sure you can probably blindfold someone, have them listen to the exhaust note of his car, and they would probably tell you it's a Skyline. I mean, I think that's pretty impressive. Rockstar did a great job with this one.
This is too good!
Next up, on to number 6, we have the Benefactor Shafter V12. So this car was added with the Executives and Other Criminals update in 2015, has a price of only about $100,000. The startup sound of this car is amazing. It sort of sounds like a cross between the AMG V8s and V12s, and the idle is pretty quiet, but once you start driving, my goodness, this thing just sounds absolutely incredible and so brutally fast as well on top of that. Now it does share a similar exhaust note to the Schlagen GT, however the Shafter V12 actually has a deeper tone to it, which is why I personally prefer it. By far the best car for the money in GTA in regards to speed and exhaust note. Highly recommend the Shafter V12 if you don't already own it. Moving on to number 5, we have the Bravado Verlier. This car was added with the Executives and Other Criminals update in 2015 and used to be available from Legendary Motors website for a price of just under $700,000, but sadly it was a removed website car with the recent DLC. But anyways, the startup sound is great. Its exhaust note is very similar to the OG Coquette, which is already a great sounding car, so why did I put it in this list instead of the Coquette? Well, this car has an insane overrun during deceleration where it has this angry raspiness to it. It just sounds incredible. Absolutely love the way this thing sounds, and I really wish they would have put this exhaust note on the OG Coquette as well, or even the Coquette D10. That would have been amazing, but continuing to number 4, we have the Coquette Blackfin. This car was added with the Ilgan Gains Part 2 update in 2015, and same thing as the Verlier, used to be available for $700,000, but sadly Rockstar removed it from the website with the recent DLC. But anyways, this car has a pretty good startup sound and a pretty good idle as well. The exhaust note itself sounds great. It's sort of like the OG Coquette exhaust note, but with a different pitch to it. Plus it takes a lot longer to rev out as well. And similar to the Verlier, this car has the awesome overrun during deceleration at higher RPMs, which just sounds fantastic, making it so much fun to drive around. I can't stress it enough. This thing and the Mamba, my goodness, they are so much fun to drive around. Next up, on to number 3, we have the Benefactor Sterling GT. This car was added with the Ill-Gotten Gains update in 2015, and same thing, used to be available from the website for just under $1 million, but sadly, Rockstar also removed this one from the website with the recent DLC. So this car has a fantastic startup and nice idle as well, and the exhaust note is pretty good as well, similar to a lot of other classic cars in the game, but what's special about this one is when you let off that throttle, you get tons of crackles and pops, which I absolutely love. By far my favorite classic car in the game in terms of exhaust note. It just sounds incredible. Moving on to number 2, we have the Albany Frankenstein. So this car was added with the Halloween surprise update in 2015, and used to be available from a San Andreas website for about $550,000. Now this car used to appear on the website during Halloween events, and then Rockstar would remove it from the website and then bring it back for the next Halloween event the following year, but it would actually stay on the website for players who already owned it. Well, now it is actually gone off the website regardless of whether you own it or not, which is pretty unfortunate. But anyways, the car has an insane startup sound, a fantastic big cam muscle race car sort of idle to it. It just sounds incredible. And then the exhaust note, it is just insane. By far the angriest sounding car in the game. Super loud as well. I just love this thing. Highly recommend trying to acquire one if you don't already own it. And lastly, on to number 1, the best exhaust note in the entire game in my personal opinion. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys already know this one, but it is the XA21. So this car was added with the gun running update in 2017. Used to be available for just under 2.4 million, but sadly was a removed website car as well. And I find it pretty ironic how literally my top 5 favorite sounding cars from this video are removed website cars. But anyways, this car has a pretty good startup sound, but the main highlight of it is definitely the exhaust note itself, which is just incredible. To me, it sounds a lot like the Koenigsegg Agueras, just that insane V8 exhaust note, just amazing. And then the crackles and pops when you let out the throttle is just insane from the XA21. I think this particular exhaust note has the craziest overrun in the entire game, and the car itself is just amazing. There's a reason it's my personal overall favorite car in the game. Now, for those of you who don't know, this car also shares a similar exhaust note with the Jugular, the Komoda, the Cinquemila, and the 8F Drafter as well, but it originated in the XA21, and I personally prefer the XA21 out of those 5, so that's why I put it as my number 1.
Holy, that car is fine as fuck!
Anyways guys, there you have it. the top 10 best sounding cars in GTA 5 Online in my personal opinion. Definitely let me know down below in the comments what your personal favorite exhaust notes are in the game, and what other top 10 videos you guys like to see me do down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.